If you're building a rhythm game, you have to create a beat map. And if you're looking for a stupid simple way to create a chart, then keep watching this video. First of all, what the heck is a beat map? Or in Guitar Hero land, this would be called a chart. Essentially, a beat map is an array of times for when the beat should be tapped on your game. When I first started building this project, I knew nothing about audio analysis. And I still really don't. The first thing I did was reach out to Tech Twitter to see if someone had already had a solution. I wasn't handed a solution, but I was given some guidance and I was given an article to read up on the topic. Progress. I read through the article. I was still confused, but I was equipped with some new context that I didn't have before and a handful of new buzzwords. So I headed over to Google and I started a new set of queries. I finally came across two Python projects, Librosa and Spleeter. At least that's how I think you pronounce it. Librosa is a Python package for audio analysis. It provides the building blocks to create music information retrieval systems. Spleeter is from the audio player Deezer, and it is a source separation library with pre-trained machine learning models written in Python and using TensorFlow. With these two libraries in hand, we can go ahead and start writing our script. So let's get started. First, we're going to import sys. This will allow us to talk to the system as doing things like getting the arguments. In our case, it's going to be getting the file name. Next, let's just create a main function that takes in the args. And for now, let's just print hello. And args 0. We'll just see if the name is a main script. And if it is, then we'll just say argv, and we'll grab a slice of those args. So we just have to skip the first argument, the 0 index, because that's the file name that we're going to be running. If we just go down here and type in Python 3, and then the name of our file, plus the argument that we want to print, now we can see we've got hello Bob. We know the argument coming in, we want that to be our file name. So let's just take arg0, name that file name. So our Deezer Spleeter Docker container is going to need an outputs directory. So let's just go ahead and create that down here in the terminal, and we can just do md if you're in Z shell, and we'll just say outputs. You can see we've created that directory. Next, I'm just going to paste in some code, and this is just calling out to the system, calling out to Docker to run the Deezer container. And what it's going to do is go ahead and remove the container when it's done. We mount a couple of volumes here, and these volumes are going to be the inputs and the outputs, that directory we just created. It's going to have a directory for the models, and then it's going to just take in the file name at the end. Cool. So this is gonna break right now because we need to create an input directory, and we'll just come up here and we'll move our audio into that input. Yes, cool. Now let's run it, see what happens. Run it just like before, Python 3, beatmap, and the name of our file is gonna be feels like winning.wav. Ah, look, forgot to import operating system. Let's go back up to the top, import OS. Let's try and run it again. This will take a little bit of time, but if you come over to your Docker desktop, you can see it spun up the Deezer Spleeter container. Pretty cool. All right, so you can see now it created 4 files for us. It split our song up into vocals, into drums, bass, and this other category. And you can see these outputs up here. You can go ahead and give them a listen if you want to, but it's just gonna be the original song split up into 4 different channels. This is super cool. Now we can use these 4 different channels, do a beat map across all 4 of them, and create 4 different channels for our rhythm game if we wanted to. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use that second Python package called Librosa, and luckily this is super simple. Okay, before we get started with the Librosa, let's just go ahead and comment out the Deezer part of our code so it doesn't try to analyze it every time, because that takes a little bit of extra work and extra time. Before we get started, let's just go ahead and create a beatmaps dictionary, and what we'll do is we'll have drums, and that's going to be another dictionary. We'll call it tempo, and for right now we'll just call that none, and the next one we'll just call it beats, and for that we'll just give it a empty list. We just copy and paste the same thing, and instead of drums we'll call it other. That's what it's called. Cool. Now what we can do is we can cycle over those keys. So for type in beatmaps.keys, and that's a function. Now let's go ahead and add a print statement just to let us know what our program's doing. Really nice to get a little bit of feedback. Analyzing, and we'll just say type. Now first we have to get the path. And that is string interpolation with the F, outputs, /. Now we're going to do os.path. split text, and we're going to pass in the file name from above, and we're also going to take the first argument, and all that does is take off the .wav extension name from the end of the file, and then we're going to pass in the type. Next, we're going to go ahead and import our Librosa package. Don't forget to install this package if you haven't already. And now you're just going to type in y,sr Librosa.load, and then the path to the audio we want to analyze. Next, we're going to pass in the drums or the other's audio file into Librosa.beat track, and y equals y, sr equals sr, and then this returns the tempo and beats. Next, we're going to change the frames for the beats into seconds, so it'll be a little bit easier to use inside of our game. So Librosa frames 2 time beats SR equals SR. Cool. So now we have the tempo and we have the beats, and all we have to do is add those into our dictionary above. So we'll just say beatmaps, and then we'll give it type. We'll say tempo is equal to tempo, and the beats is equal to not just the beats, but it's a NumPy array, so we have to call to list on it. Next, let's just go ahead and this dictionary out to a JSON file. And to do so, we just say with open, let's just call it beatmap.json. And yes, I'm mixing double quotes and single quotes, sue me. As out file, here we'll have to import JSON, so we'll go up to the top, import JSON, we'll get back to where we were, and we'll just say json.dump, analyzing the other, and we're done. And you can see it spit out the JSON file. If we open it, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. We'll save. Okay, so you can see our drums. We've got tempo coming in at 151. We have these beats starting at 11.8 seconds and 12.2 seconds. If we collapse that, we can see the other came in the tempo pretty much the same, but the beats here start at 4.5 seconds. And so with that, we can create different channels to tap in our rhythm games. This is the gist of how I created my rhythm game in Flutter using the Flame engine. It has been a super fun way of learning Flutter and learning Dart over the past few months. If you know of a better way of automating creating charts or beat maps for rhythm games, let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and we'll see you next time.